What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through.
Hello! I hope everyone can hear me. Please let me know if you can't. So welcome to this spooky pre-show on the first, I was going to go into the first day of Christmas, on the first stream that we have. I hope you like my little hat. I was going to do a mask, but it's a bit of a flap, so we will leave that. But hello to everyone that's joining us. Witness, Juliana. Jo said she'll be in soon, so that's all amazing. Yay, thank you so much, Juliana. I'm really happy. And we've got like a lot of people that's going to be joining us, so I'm so excited. Just whilst I kind of wait for me to bring them on, hello, Hans. Welcome. Please, everyone that's watching all the streams, I hope you've got enough devices to have them all out. But please like and subscribe the ones that you wish to keep subscribed to. But yeah, please at least like them. So if you read the little sort of bio of this video, you'll see that I put in there about us having a bit of a light topic on mental health, because in the UK and sort of Northern Hemisphere, we're getting into far darker evenings. And for me personally, I get that SAD syndrome. I'm better now, but the start of sort of kind of a few weeks ago, that's why I've not been streaming much. It kind of really hit me in that I was getting very tired. And then as we go on, my birthday's in January, and that's kind of when I get it a lot more, just because it's January, it's my birthday, and it's always been one of those times when people don't have a lot of money, so that kind of goes into that for me. Then since the passing of Matthew Perry, and kind of reading some posts that people have put up about him, kind of statements that he's kind of put out in the past and things like that, it's just really made me kind of think about things a lot more. And yeah, and I just kind of wanted to put something out, because I know sort of a lot of people watch these streams or anything on YouTube, and kind of are doing it because they want to sort of make their days better. So I don't want to be on the downer about it, but I want to address it. Also, if you haven't seen, Britney Spears' book came out recently, and I've only just bought it today. I'm so sad it's not the pink version, so I might have to paint it myself. But anyway, I've been watching BJ, That Surprise Witness. If you don't know her already, she's on YouTube. And she sort of has done a read through of the book, and kind of with her commentary going through it, which I really loved. And there's just sort of like some bits in it that I kind of wanted to tell everyone, and I've been very bad and not numbered sort of where I needed to go, but just to say that sort of I was involved in the some of the rallies from kind of sort of 2020, well, no, actually, sorry, before that, 2019, we started that sort of Christmas going into 2020. And yeah, so it's just sort of really kind of hit me, some of the things that were said in the book. So just give me a second and I will just have a little look at where she had said it. But I hope that everyone is well on this fine Monday. I'm not going to be able to find it well enough. That's really counts. Oh, here we go. So this was sort of one of the points that I thought was quite sort of poignant, because I'm not sort of religious, but I am agnostic, and you know, so I sort of respect any kind of religions, but I don't believe in any one thing. I think there's things that you can take from all kind of religions, really. So anyway, Bringy says that I started to wonder whether I might use him talking about her court-appointed lawyer to my advantage. With a prayer-like consistency, I began to speak to him twice a week just to mediate on my options. Was he working for me, my father, or Lou? And if you don't know, Lou M. Taylor is someone that controls quite a few people in Hollywood. While he talked around the issue, I'd think, don't you seem to believe in what I know? I know where I'm going with this. I'm going all the way to the end. I can tell you're not going to get this done alone. And then there was finally a turning point where he honestly where there was honestly no more that he could do for me. I had to take control. Yeah, so when I just think sort of like that's so true for many kind of situations, sort of whether it's actually praying to someone or just sort of using that element in kind of your day-to-day. I think that's very profound. And oh no, there was another bit that was like far beyond it, far before this. Oh no, I will look at it whilst people are coming on, because that will give me more time. But yeah, it's just like there was a really lovely bit where she sort of really thanks people outside of kind of you know, just like us, like sort of everyday people, for standing up for her, which I kind of thought goes towards the whole element that we're sort of doing within SPtv. I'm an advocate for many different sort of people. I'm in the fashion industry, as many people know, and so I advocate for garment workers a lot. And yeah, so I just sort of see that when I'm kind of watching SPtv and sort of people's stories and kind of how it can relate in different situations that I've seen through the clothing industry. So yeah, so that is that. So without further ado, sorry for wittering on, I will start to bring people on. So I hope everyone's ready. Give me a thumbs up backstage if you're cool to come on, because I don't want to like bring on people when they're midway for a snack or something. Fabulous. Heather, let me know. I didn't see a thumbs. But welcome.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thanks for having me.
Hello. I
I
don't
just
know how
realised
to
that
thumbs
I
up.
don't have my headphones here, so I've still got my sound on. So I hope everything's sounding good. But welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
So I don't know if you all want to introduce yourselves. Mark, we can maybe start with you, as you're to my whatever side that is.
Sure. Yeah, my name is Mark Turi, and I'm actually an ex-Scientologist. I spent 3 years in the Church of Scientology from May of 2005 to May 2008. I was for the first 2 years, so from 2005 to 2007, I spent that time as what's called a public Scientologist, or just a regular parishioner, where I paid for courses and did some studying. Ended up doing quite a few courses during that time. However, from May of 2007 until May 2008, I was on staff in 2 Scientology organizations, one in Berlin and the second one in San Francisco. I was ultimately kicked out of Scientology in May of 2008, and then I've been speaking out pretty much online first in 2008, and in person. The first interview I ever did on YouTube was all the way back in February of 2009. So since that time, I've been very lucky. I've been featured on different podcasts and YouTube channels. And right now, on Saturdays, I join with Juliana, who's, I guess everyone's kind of in and around now, but the chat, but Juliana, Clearwater Chad, Denver Stevo, Joe DeCeppo, and others. And we have a podcast called The Nerdy Bunch, which we do on Saturday evenings. And yeah, just very happy to be here, and hope I can contribute as much as I can. The mental health is definitely something that affected me once I left Scientology. So just happy to add any insights that I can.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And you can see on my little ticker, I finally worked out how to do one of them. Mark's channel on Rumble, and his Buy Me a Coffee as well.
Yeah, thanks. Unfortunately, my YouTube channel, we can get into that.
Else. I don't really know.
Yeah,
how
my YouTube channel got taken off.
Yeah, so please, if you can, if you want to go over to Rumble and sort of, I don't know, subscribe or follow, whatever you do there, to kind of show appreciation. And instead of super chats, you can buy him a coffee. That would be really lovely. Oh, sorry, I'm just trying to do another. Oh, there we go. Another little thingy. Wonderful. So thank you very much, Mark. So then let me take that off. Oh. Come on. Oh no, it's going to show it again. Right. Oh, come on, go off. Right, here we go. Right, Maya, do you want to go next?
Yes. Oh, my chair just.
So I don't have. I didn't just set yours up. You're right. Yeah.
What's this song? Oh, it's my computer. I don't know. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
That's all right. Yes.
You can hear me? Okay. I bought this thing, and I don't know why, but yeah. Anyway, so I'm Maya. I live in Norway, and like you say, it's you're starting to get the sad syndrome when it's getting dark, and I'm very far north, so it's very dark and very long. So we have two 2 months without the sun. And so we are closing in on that. And I'm never in. I didn't even know I don't even know if there is a Scientology thing in Norway, maybe down in Oslo. Yeah, but I don't know. I fell down the rabbit hole of Scientology, SPtv stuff, and here I am. Yeah. I'm not sure what. Yeah.
Wonderful.
I suppose it's me next.
Sorry, you were. Yeah, it was sounding a bit cut out there, so I didn't want to cut you out. Right, fabulous, Heather. I don't have a link for a channel for you or anything, but
I
do
don't
introduce yourself.
So generally, I'm known as Heather from the UK, pretty much on most things, because every time I send anybody a message, it's like, oh, it's Heather from the UK. I was talking to you about such and such. Seemed to be the starting of any message I sent. So it's sort of become my screen name now everywhere. And I have never been a Scientologist, but I am a disability activist. Welcome to my current office for the last year, because I've recently found out I've got arthritis in my feet on top of everything else. So I work from my bed.
Okay.
But that's fine. It makes it interesting. But yes, I'm a disability activist, but I fall down the rabbit holes of all sorts of different things. So anti-multi-level marketing and anti-cults, and I somehow landed up in anti-Scientology, and I'm really disappointed that my sister changed the time I was going down to visit my family in West Sussex, because I would have been at that protest this week. But she's changed the plan, and it's the end of November and not the beginning. So yeah, I'm really frustrated about it, but because I would have been there. So yeah, but other than that, I chair disability organisations and try and highlight the difficulties of, or the risk factors for disabled people in other high demand things like Scientology or multi-level marketing or anything like that. So yeah, makes my conversations very strange sometimes. But yeah, that's me.
Wonderful. Well, welcome. And then I'm going to add someone else to the stage. Bill, give me a thumbs up that you're happy to come in. Yay. Here we go. Hey, welcome. You are muted currently, but if you want to unmute yourself and tell everyone about you.
Hi, sorry. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to switch from the microphone.
That's all right.
I was finishing a snack, so I thought I should finish my snack first. I'll get a bit closer.
That's fine. What yeah, no problem. What brings you to the stream? SPtv, whatever.
Joe sent me a link. I thought I'd be interested in anything that's related to crafts. And she said you were a tailor, so it sounded very interesting.
Oh, you're Joe's friend. Welcome.
Yeah. I don't have any religious backgrounds or particular points of view on religion. It's never featured in my life at all, so I'm not for or against any religion at all. I've focused on making guitars, violins, violin bows, mending bicycles, and any other odd job that people throw at me. So
Oh, cool. Yeah, my dad's into bikes, so he's always making up new ones. And Maya, we have Juliana loves your background. And
Oh,
Witness.
thank you. I made it today because Halloween is not very big in Norway, so just for the little kids. So
That's so
we
cool.
don't
I love
decorate.
it. Scaritology.
And you said, okay, well, use what you have, and I just
Yeah. You know,
I was
Halloween
some of
Eve.
the scariest
We're gonna not that it's the biggest thing that we celebrate in the. Yeah. I just thought it's a bit of a fun element. Fabulous. Well, so is there anything sort of in particular people want to talk about, or what are you crafting on? If you're crafting,
I would like to say that I love Norway, Maya. Absolutely love for Norway.
Oh,
I've only been there once, but I really liked it. And apparently, I have a lot of Scandinavian DNA in my family, so I think I must be descended from Scandinavians.
okay. So you have been here.
Oh yes, I've been to Norway. Yeah.
Okay. Where did
My
you
father
go?
was in Norway during the war, so he always liked it, and I inherited his love of Norway.
Okay. So did you like it?
Yes, I loved it. Went to Bergen and Hardangerfjord.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Lovely.
Where did Claire go?
I don't know, but she looks
Oh,
like
yeah,
a computer disk for a minute. The closest Halloween I could get was my Disney Villains t-shirt and my starry wall. So it's all Disney villains. So it's like the
Yeah.
evil
I love it.
queen and
Oh, cool! That's so cool.
Maleficent and Ursula. It was as close as I could get. And anybody who was in our chat earlier will also know that I somehow managed to get makeup on my face between eating my pumpkin flavoured Franken drink and now. So, yeah, that's my contribution to Halloween. Because you're right, we don't really celebrate Halloween in the there isn't a box. If you said Christmas, I would have been able to go, there's a box in my house. Halloween.
There's the box.
But in
don't worry, we will do Christmas.
but Halloween isn't the same. Like I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But no, so this was the quickest and closest I could do. But you're right about the change in the weather, though. Like suddenly, as the weather's the times have changed and the weather's changed. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm in the northwest, and we have just had rain and rain and rain, and it's just been like. So I just have to keep bribing myself in my own house. Like, if you do your work, you can have a chocolate bar.
Well, I'm not far from you, Heather. I'm in southwest Scotland, so we've probably got the same weather as you.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe I just behave like a small child. It's the ADHD that where you're just like, if you do the work you need to do and send the scary email, you can have some chocolate. And I'm like, okay. So yeah, that's me. It's just been we've had rain for weeks now.
Yeah, I'm very much the same. When I'm doing some sewing, it's like, right, you can have your lunch after you finish this, or sort of go to the bathroom after you've done this. Terrible.
But crafting
Have you been affected by the flooding up there though?
I have. We haven't particularly, but I know that further out from us has, but we haven't, because I'm in a city, so it has to be proper full on storm. Like if you remember a few years ago, those kinds of storms where literally it was knocking down the walls. Those storms we did, but this current set of weather, we haven't had flooding, but it's still not nice rain.
That's good.
What's nice rain?
No.
So
no,
we
exactly, yeah. Especially,
well, I'm great at Manchester.
Sideways hitting you in the face, even though you're
I
putting
was
umbrella
joking.
up.
I was joking with my PA earlier about this, that there are different types of rain in Greater Manchester, because you decide whether or not it's big coat rain. Do I need my big coat? Can I get away with my cagoule? Should I just wear my eye? Is there any point in putting eyeliner on, or is it just going to run? I remember when I first moved to Manchester, and I made my first lot of friends, I had people who said, just work the rain. If it makes your eyeliner run, you're just going to have to get used to it, and you're just going to have to work it. So so if your eyeliner runs, you just work
There's a point where waterproof doesn't even work. Yeah.
Yeah, and you just work it, because you're just like, I am a runway model, and work it.
Exactly.
So
Naomi Campbell worked falling over on the runway.
Yeah.
Britney Spears is working, has worked when she first came out of the conservatorship, was working the patchy eyes, rungy eyeliner can be worked into there.
So yes, there are different. You look at the rain and you go, is this big coat rain? Is this? There's no point in eyeliner. Is this? I'll risk it, but I know I might have to work it. It's just a whole. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, we call it little rain, or big rain.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that reminds me, I grew up in Canada. That's where I'm originally from. And it's very similar with the snow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Although
various degrees. Rain for us is just rain. Yeah, we drizzle, rain or downpour. That's all we have. But then when it comes to snow, it's just varying degrees.
That's one of the reasons why I wouldn't visit.
The snow and rain is falling that way, or it's falling that way.
Yeah,
that's the big.
Or it comes in your face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for people who
is one of the reasons why I wouldn't visit Canada. I'd love to visit Canada, but I couldn't deal with the snow. I just
in the winter it's tough.
I would have to learn the months exactly, because unless it's different to the snow in the UK, where I have to be like, right, from this point in January to this point in February, I cannot leave my house without somebody.
Well, I was going to say, you probably need to have a whole nother vehicle,
because
in Canada, if we get a bad winter, we get a bad winter, can start in November and end in April. So
okay, so just don't go from November to April. Okay.
Yeah, basically.
That's good planning.
May is nice.
Okay. So
This,
May.
this year it was white of snow June 1st. It was
Oh,
white.
wow.
Wow.
You had snow
yeah.
in
Craziness.
June.
Oh yeah.
We were
We
having a
had
heat
snow in June.
wave.
Yeah, we too.
Yeah.
After 21st of June or something like that, we had and we don't have air conditioning stuff because we don't need it. But this year we
I
did.
had,
So, but no, yeah, it's just snowing and snowing and snowing. The last winter was just horrible, and it never
Wow.
ended. And it was, oh my God! And now we have, of course, we have winter now again, and it's freezing and it's cold. But I live very far north, and down south it's they can have snow, but not like we have. Here, the schools never closes if no matter how horrible the weather is, the schools are open, and we just go on with the regular life. And today down south in Oslo, it has been snowing and it's completely
Wow.
chaotic, and the traffic is standing still, and it's just a mess. And we sit here and listen. Yeah, because
Oh, I'm glad we're not the only country that gets that. Stand still at time.
Yeah, for us, school, the great days was when school would be closed for snow days. That was always fun.
yeah, I have always thought of the snow day. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I
They were
think
nice.
last year one school was closed, but that was because the roof flew off. The wind was gone. The school was gone, so it's fully closed. So, but other than that, no,
Yeah, yes.
it's open.
Yeah, wow.
That's the level it needs. The roof
Yeah,
has to
they
come
try
off.
to do it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also been very
It's like, well,
warm
you
where
can't go
I
to
live
school because there is
in,
no school.
yeah, I live in Budapest, and it's
Sorry.
actually been very warm. Today was 20 or 21 degrees. So
way.
yeah,
Wow.
it's been unseasonably warm in the past couple of days, especially the past week, maybe week and a half, which is very weird.
Gosh.
Last night we
Yeah,
had
it's so hard because I feel like I just
minus
get used to
13.
weather and then it changes. Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
Maya.
Oh no, I just said 20 degrees. I assume it's Celsius, Fahrenheit, Celsius.
Celsius, yeah,
we had
Celsius.
yeah. Last night we had, I think it was minus 14 Celsius.
Ooh. Yeah, no, it's warm.
So,
And
yeah.
for this time of year, almost November, Halloween, right?
That's a very good summer day for us.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I wouldn't be allowed outside. It's so hot there. I wouldn't be allowed outside. We have when there's
Wow.
certain weather, they tell people whether or not we're allowed out. Like, I don't know if people saw the weather warnings in the UK, but they were like, in this weather, young children, the infirm and elderly are not allowed outside. And the temperature that you were having, Mark, is the temperature they would be like, stay indoors. And I would have to explain to relatives that I couldn't go for the picnic. And they'd be like, why? And I'd be like, because it might make me ill. And they'd go, why? And I'd be like, high temperature.
Because they said the children is not supposed to go outside.
And I am an infirm person.
Yeah.
I don't know why they use that word, because we don't use that word. I am a disabled person. But anyway. But for some reason, the news never learns. But, they'll call us anything. Sheltering people. But anyway, I could go on for
They
that.
go with what they know.
I know, I've been trying to write a 10-minute talk and it's now nearly 35. And there's me cutting it down with a big red marker pen. I can't shorten it anymore. Like, I keep going, no, take that off. Can't say that. Can't talk about that. No, but so yeah. But I had to Google it to check it because it was like 20 degrees. That's not
I'd like
that
to
hot. I could
welcome.
go out.
Oh,
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm just listening.
yeah.
Was-
No, that's all right. I was just going to welcome Poet. Brian,
Hi, how's it
Brian
going,
to our-
everybody?
To our little chat.
Hi.
Right?
Yeah. So how's everybody doing?
No.
Good,
Got a
good.
little thing up with all your details on.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I'm in
Good,
the
good.
I'm in the
I
middle.
don't know if you want to introduce yourself,
Well,
Brian.
well, my name's Brian. I'm a poet, and I know it. And and actually, I should have used these. It had more of an effect. And most people SPtv land know me. I have a channel called From a Poet. I read my stuff and I talk about it. It's pretty plain and simple. I write about a lot of things. Recently, though, I put out this, which is my book of haikus and limericks with I don't know how well you can see it. Liz Gale did the forward for me, and Claire Headley did the afterword, and it's available on Amazon right now.
Nice.
And I also have another book called Memories Carved in So Much Dust. This is all non-Scientology poetry. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. Plan on doing a open mic on Wednesday. I'm going all the way down to Hot Springs. That's about an hour or so drive from here. I haven't read in front of a crowd in almost 30 years. So I'm looking forward to it. And nervous and all that other stuff, but I will video it and put it on my channel for people to see, because I don't think I'll be able to live stream it. I don't know. I'll figure it out.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
so-
if anyone's interested, Poet's YouTube is on the screen currently. His Buy Me a Coffee. And is that last link, is that for the book?
Yes. Yeah. That's the most important one, because the most important thing about the book is half the net profits are going to go to the Aftermath Foundation. I'm also doing a anthology,
Which is amazing.
and I got some stuff from Maya. I'm looking, need more from her because she's great. And just stories, poetry, essays. If you want to write me an essay about what SPtv means to you, be more than happy to publish it. The goal is 200 to 300 pages. I've gotten a handful of stuff right now, more visual stuff than written, and people have said they're going to write stuff or what. It just I'll do another post about it, extending the deadline till at least the end of the year on my the community page on my YouTube channel. So probably after I'll get off this or later today, or for more details. So write me something. I don't care what it is. Send it to me. I'll publish it. And that's also going to be a fundraiser for the Aftermath. I figure people in this community, we've got a real creative community. People in this community would like an opportunity, because we all can't super chat. We all can't donate. We all don't have either time, or like me, for example, I'm semi-retired. I have plenty of time, but I live out in the middle of nowhere, and there's no Scientology presence in my state. The nearest org is Kansas City to me, and what can I do to help? And that's what I decided to use my talent, and we all have different talents. If you crochet something and you like it, send me a picture, you know, and I'll put it on there. I don't care. It's for the community. And that's about it.
No, that's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. So what was the topic of conversation?
Oops.
I think I was talking about my thing that I'm trying
Was-
to edit.
Oh,
But I don't know
Sorry,
how we got there.
Yeah, is mental health. That's all right. So I was just going to go through some questions that we got. Well, not questions, but sort of comments from the start, just to sort of address some things. Because this one from Juliana. Apologize. Right, there we go. So, Juliana, I just fished my and Joe told me about the pre-show. I hadn't realised this was what was going to be. I thought it was just Chad's pre-show, but just in a different name. Now I realise that that's not showing on my screen, so I don't know if everyone else can see it or not. What's going on today? But yeah, Juliana and anyone else, this I sort of spoke to Chad about it because with the clocks changing and things like that, it's here we go. Yeah, it was getting, with the last stream, it was like really quite late for me with it being so late in the evening. And yeah, so I sort of reached out to him and said if he was happy for me to do this. And I just thought it's quite a nice one going forward for those people that sort of don't want to stay up too late in different parts of the world. So so welcome to the pre-show of the pre-show of the show that used to happen for SPtv before the after show.
This is like the RPF.
Yeah, I just thought that was quite,
RPF or whatever.
That's right. It is the RPF's RPF.
Yeah. What?
As long as we got the phones,
almost like the Breakfast Club.
So are you ready?
All the outsiders, the losers.
Yeah, for those who might not know, the RPF's RPF is when you don't go good, you don't do well in the Sea Org, so you go to the RPF. But then when you don't do well on the RPF, you go to the RPF's RPF, which stands for Rehabilitation Project Force. So there's like a Rehabilitation Project Force within the Rehabilitation Project Force.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I was in the Navy.
Jude Young has just said that her.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, it was just saying that her Monday show, her Monday study show, could be the pre-show. Sorry.
Yeah. No. That when I was in the Navy, when a sailor would mess up, they'd get put on restriction. That's where Hubbard got that from. And the most they would do, 45 days, confined to the ship.
Yeah.
They'd lose half a month's pay times 2. And depending on what it was, they get busted in rank. Like I probably came close once or twice, but there's people that were habitually doing it. Eventually they just kicked their butts out, called failure to adapt, and stuff. And it's all the things that LRH took from my beloved Navy. Just really makes me angry, That was one of the things that got me watching this stuff, specifically the W word. I know there are people here that have some issues with W word, just like here in the United States we got issues with the N word. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. I'm not dismissing it. I'm just saying I know that I first heard that word in 2004 in the context of the Navy. In Navy parlance, that means someone who has not crossed the equator.
Right.
Right, and you're a filthy W. You know, they call you that because if you know you're going on deployment and you know you're going to cross the line, the people who've already done it are anticipating it because it's fun. We had a great time. I think one of the funnest times I ever had in the Navy was when I crossed the line, and I did it twice. Once is what we call polywog, and second time is an honorable shellback. You know. And I was wondering, you know, I knew LRH was in the Navy, and I was wondering where he heard that because there's people who say no, he took it from the British, right? You know, that's where he got it from. I got this inkling because his father was officer in the Navy, so he'd had to have heard that word first there. And then he got all the different, you know, because, you know, he
believe so.
traveled the world. You know, he probably was on a ship with his dad or whatever. He heard that. And I actually had a little discussion on a video this past January on one of John Atak's videos about that. And he basically shut me down. He goes, "No, it's this." I'm like, okay. I know when to stay in my lane, you know, because sometimes you know, I have immense respect for John Atak, but sometimes when you can get set in your ways. That's just a nice way to put it. I know I do it myself, so
Yeah, I see that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on that bombshell, we'll introduce Joe. Welcome,
Hi, Joe.
Joe, if you would like to introduce yourself. You're currently muted, by the way.
Hi. Where do I start? So I'm sure I've spoken to most of you before, but there's a couple of new people here. My name is Joe. I live near London. I am a luthier, which is someone that builds and repairs string instruments. There we go. There's my channel. And my website is in my name and also in my ticker on my channel as well. Yeah, so I build and repair string instruments. That's my job. I'm also very interested in languages and history and all those sort of things, just like Mark. Yeah, I guess ask me anything if you want to know. I don't know what else to say, but that's me. Hello.
Wonderful. That's fine. Welcome.
What did you say you are doing?
We're having a fun stream so far.
Hello.
I think it's interesting that all of us are coming from all sorts of different things and have somehow, some of us come from having experience of having been Scientologists, and some of us have experience of never have been, or in other streams having, like other streams I've watched and other people I've spoken to of being in other high control organizations or religions or faith or whatever you want to name them, and then we come together and can still have these kinds of conversations and find connections in them that we can then talk about. So I like Brian, came to it from this wanting to know how the world worked and why words were being used by people. That could be because I'm an autistic person, and I think that's where my drive to be a sociologist came from. I am not yet a sociologist. I accidentally went and trained to be a makeup artist on the way. I've done 97 other things also. but that drive
Accidentally, I like that.
accidentally, yeah. I have a computer science degree as well. Because I was good at computers, so I did that. Then I was a youth worker. Now I'm a disability activist, but during COVID, my friend wanted me to do their makeup, so then I became a makeup artist. I still want to be a sociologist, but I'm now more accidentally a sociologist. So, yeah, it's fun. And people keep telling me to be a YouTuber.
Nice.
It's that thing of like wanting to know how the world works and why people do the things they do, like the utterly mundane, but for some reason you can work out the utterly mundane things people do by looking at the extreme things people do. So you look at the mundane, to be able to work out the mundane thing, you look at the extreme. So looking at how Scientology works, or multi-level marketing, or things, you then can work out why it is that everybody writes smart casual on their invites to things and what that means, because you've worked out what outfits people are wearing in Scientology and what those mean. Don't ask me how that ever worked, but it did. It just did. And it's that kind of things that I seem to manage to work out somehow. And then it's, but through doing all of that and just having that sort of interest as a sort of like just looking at things is where my activism in wanting to help people and wanting to find the fairness and the justice in it, and being like, why am I not in East Grinstead this week with Alex, helping, like doing something? Like, I want to be there doing something. Or why am I not, why did I stay up until 4 a.m. doing the writing into the Fair Trade Commission, or going to the conference for multi-level marketing, anti-multi-level marketing that they had previously earlier in the year, comes from looking at those things and saying, actually, this isn't fair, we need to do something. Does that make sense? But it's strange that we've all found a community, even if we weren't all in it to begin with. Not strange, just interesting.
Yeah, 100%.
I haven't worked out how or why.
Yeah, because it's yeah, it's this sort of struggle that I have sometimes with kind of talking to people, sort of kind of everyday people about stuff. Like I can talk to them about advocating for garment workers, because there's something about obviously sort of clothes that kind of brings everyone together. But as soon as like I was doing the Free Britney stuff, I would talk to people, and like, and you mentioned sort of Free Britney, and they're like, sort of give you this weird look, and then obviously we kept on doing it, and then she got free, and that was only because we were making noise. And then now I kind of find myself doing similar, obviously, with like the SPtv stuff. And Heather, you will be there in spirit at the weekend. I'm going to go Friday and Sunday. I'm gutted I can't go on Saturday, but I'm working and I have a friend's birthday thing. But yeah, I will make sure that you're there. And yeah, so it's sort of, I'm kind of finding similar with that. And because like things like sort of my social media and things is my business, or sort of my business accounts, I kind of have this weirdness of sort of what I put out, what I associate myself with. But, sort of when I kind of look, think back and I'm like, but why am I being weird about sort of like, particularly like sort of the Scientology stuff with the Free Britney as well? And I remind myself, because they're people, they're people, and not everyone who you think should have a voice has a voice, and that's what I want to be, is that their voice sort of to the world. So I think sort of that's very valid for us to be doing. And also, if you're watching, if you're listening, then do come out. We're very nice people, and we will help you. Contact the Aftermath Foundation, or anyone that you see on any of these channels. We are all there to be just a listening ear if that's what you need. Sorry, or we can try and help in more ways if that's what you need as well. Because I think sort of, and that's kind of why I wanted to link to the Matthew Perry thing with tonight's stream, because he put in his let me get it up and read it. He put, well, it wasn't something that he put out recently, but someone found a statement that he'd put out a while ago, and it just really got me. So he says, I've had a lot of ups and downs in my life. I'm still working through it personally. But the best thing about me is that if an alcoholic or a drug addict comes up to me and says, will you help me? I will always say, yes, I know what to do. Yes, I know how to do that. I will do that for you, even if I can't do it for myself. So I do that whenever I can, in groups or one-to-one. I created the Perry House in Malibu, a sober living facility for men. I also wrote a play, The End of Longing, which is a personal message to the world and an exaggerated form of me as a drunk. I had something important to say to people like me and to people who loved people like me. When I die, I know people will talk about friends. And I'm glad of that. Happy I've done some solid work as an actor, as well as given people multiple chances to make fun of my struggles on the World Wide Web. But when I die, as far as my so-called accomplishments go, it would be nice if friends were listed far behind the things I did to try and help other people. I know it won't happen, but it would be nice. And personally, that just every time I read that, it just gets me so much, because I just think that's something that I really strive, and I kind of beat myself up over, maybe not having done enough and things like that. But sort of that's, I think, is very, very sort of profound in people when they have an urge in themselves to sort of give back to others in quite a selfless way. And I think sort of many people within the SPtv community, Neverins, ex-Scientologists, very sort of with that as well. And I think that's why I sort of resonate quite a lot with the community, as well as the LawTube community, because it's sort of, they give a lot of knowledge through kind of what they're doing. And I think, as you said, Heather, it can all help us in many ways throughout our lives.
I would say that what's really interesting about what you've just said about that striving and thinking you've never done enough is something that I have just been writing my piece about for my conference on Wednesday that I'm attending, about work, rest and activism through the lens of disability politics. Sounds really fancy, but my piece is sometimes you just want to lay in bed and eat crisps, because it's just that thing of, why does it never end? Why do I never feel like I can just I just want to have a day where I can lie in bed, eat crisps, do nothing, worry about nobody, and just be like, no, that's not my problem. Someone else can deal with it. But
Yeah.
that's the thing. At some point, you have to say, I can't do any more for this right now. Somebody, and I'm talking as a complete hypocrite right now. I was the person who went back to work after spinal surgery because COVID. They'd announced that I don't know, it's YouTube. That our spiky friend had returned, or no, not
It's all right.
returned. Had arrived, and therefore literally had to go back to. At the time, I didn't have a co-chair, so I was chairing an organisation. So was flat on my back, trying to tell our government and the NHS that, you know, we should be alive. And so I'm the worst person to say to anybody to stop caring, to stop wanting to do any more. But you will burn out if you don't say to yourself, and I say this to anybody in SPtv or any activist movement whatsoever, you are going to have to say to yourself, my thing is, I do this thing on a Tuesday, or my contribution is helping people make their logos, or helping make leaflets, or, you know, making poetry books, or I don't know. Like, you'll just have to pick something and make it your, like, and say, I will do this
pick a lane.
unless there is a big emergency thing, like the protests that we've had recently at various points, or suddenly David Miscavige has decided that he's going to hunt us all down. Do you know what I mean? Like, we are just going to have to pick our thing and say, that is what I'm going to do right now. Because otherwise,
Definitely.
you are just going to have to. Otherwise, we're all just going to, like, need to go to bed and eat crisps. Oh, I don't know. Have really long naps with blankets. I don't
We
know.
could do that as a stream.
Hey, totally
Self-care is
agree.
important.
Yeah. It's
Sorry,
very
I
important.
get really worried about us, like, everybody. Like, do we not remember when Alex went to sleep and everyone started calling the police because they were worried he'd gone missing? Like,
I felt so bad for him.
but do you see what I mean? This could happen if we if our people keep carrying on. If we carry on as SPtv, that could happen.
Yeah.
So I believe in that feeling that you've got, and I get it, because I have that feeling too. I am a complete hypocrite, but
well, at least you can admit it.
Yeah.
The hypocrisy can be a matter of perspective and degree. You know, I guess the worst ones are the ones that can't admit it to themselves, or, you know.
Yeah, it's taken a lot of counselling and thinking about it.
I think cognitive dissonance has a lot to do with that too. You know.
Yeah, but I would say that doing a live stream on a Monday evening it's a Monday evening. Who wants to do anything on a Monday? Most people don't want to do anything on a Monday evening or a Friday night, I've discovered through many years of my life. So, you know, that's plenty enough.
That's what I think is so great with poets. Brian,
Definitely.
he's doing this what do you call it?
The anthology?
Yeah. So people can use their skills and contribute with something, and to help out.
Mm.
Come on.
Yeah, and
I think that's great.
I think ultimately that's all we all want to do. Help.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the thing that
it's so mind blowing. I just
Yeah.
can't wrap my head around.
yeah,
all the great
it's the
stuff.
one thing that binds us all together. You know, come here, Phil.
It's
Come here.
pom bears at the moment. I've
Come here.
got pom bears and
Come here.
crinkle mini cheddars. Those are the crisps in the house at the moment. I'm not sure if they're classed as crisps.
Oh, crinkle one.
I
Pom
gotta,
Bears for the win.
yeah, I gotta duck out. I just lost an argument with my dog. Yeah. See here.
Aw,
Oh,
Come here,
lovely
Phil. Come on,
to
come here.
have you,
Come on up here. What? You're going to embarrass me in front of the whole internet? Of course. That's fine. I'll see y'all later. I'll try to make it to Chad's pre-show. But it was nice. Maya, it was nice meeting you. Mark, it was nice meeting you. Heather, it was
Same
nice
to you.
meeting you. Joe, Claire, later. Because I have an impatient dog. All right, I'll see y'all later.
bye.
See ya.
Bye.
See you
Hi.
later. Bye. So, anyone that didn't see earlier, this is Poet's YouTube channel, his Buy Me a Coffee, and where you can buy his book from. So please do with those as you wish. But that would be lovely. So I'll just leave that going for a little bit. Mark, Joe, do you want to input on anything that's been said?
Yeah,
That's
I
fine.
guess in terms of maybe I have a different perspective on things, is that I don't, how can I put it? So I don't really go to protests. That's not my thing. And I guess as far as, so what I've really found in terms of processing my experience in Diamond Way was things like the bite model and things like when you see the same patterns playing out in a different group and the same patterns in, you know, any sort of environment or relationship like that, I think that's very eye-opening. And quite often one of the first things that can I put it? One of the first things, so I didn't really start analyzing it properly until fairly recently, and it was, 15 years ago for me. But one of the things that quite often opens the door for people to be able to explore those things is when, how can I put it? When you see those patterns in another group. Because it doesn't, so like I say, although it's been 15 years, so it's not like I still believe any of those things. It's kind of, yeah, does this make sense?
Yeah, it's like you can.
Definitely, because it's something that I do a lot as well, is recognize traits either in people or sort of other groups.
You see people going, oh no, I wouldn't, that thing they're doing is absolutely terrible, and then you go, but can you explain what your organization's doing? And they go, this and this, and then they go, oh, that's the same thing.
Yeah,
even if it's in conversation. It's either in conversation or they go away and they go, oh, I thought about it and what you said was this. And you're like, yes, that's what we were, pointing out.
Yeah, so I think people are more able to see it when it's one step removed from them quite often. And so in order to plant those seeds, that can be a useful thing.
I use quite a
Mark?
lot of real life examples, I think. Things when I'm
Lots
trying
of
to
onions to
explain
peel.
stuff.
Mm.
Was
So I
Mark
think there's a
trying
bit
to
of a
say
lag.
something?
Yeah, no, I think that's really good to use sort of real life comparisons and things. Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, when I left Scientology, I was very angry because I had worked for the organization for a year and I made very little money and I worked very, very long hours. So when I was in Berlin, I worked 90 plus hours a week. And I made, anywhere from 11 euros to 86 euros a week. So I don't think I was even paid more than 1,000 euros. Maybe it was the most I got paid in a 9-month period. So it was a lot of effort. And then when I kind of got kicked out, one of the reasons is I'm sure some of us that might be familiar with Scientology may have heard the term freeloader bill. And so I was really afraid to get a freeloader bill because when you leave staff before your contract's done, you're supposed to pay money to the church for all the courses that you took for free as a staff member. And so I was trying to avoid that because I really was interested and dedicated in Scientology. I really wanted to do it. And then I got this kind of affirmation that it's just, I was having these issues. And so a lot of frustration, a lot of anger, and a ton of disillusionment. And then, of course, going through the same idea of what does it all mean, you know, and all this kind of thing, and feeling useless as well, feeling very, very hurt.
Mm.
But for me, time away from the group helped. I know maybe time doesn't heal all wounds, but it can heal some. So in that case, just being separated from the group and from that culture, because every group, every destructive group or whatever has a culture, and when you're in it, you're in it, and when you're removed from it, you're removed. It's that's the whole point of a destructive organization, cult or whatever, is it's either 0 or it's 100. Like there's no middle, there's nothing. So the more time that I had to myself, I read a lot, and slowly but surely, a year went by, 2 years went by, and so forth. Now it's been 15 years. So again, I left 15 and a half years ago. I left in May 2008. It's a long time, but I was lucky in that sense. And yeah, I think for me, I did do a lot of protests when I lived in Los Angeles from 2009 to 2011. So I got to meet a lot of people there, and Mark and Claire Headley there, Jason Begay, Graham Barry, a friend who passed away a few years ago named Gary Scarf. So I got to make some good connections with people. But last time I protested was about 10 years ago. I went with a couple people to the opening of the Ideal Organ, a place called Cambridge, Ontario, which is in southwestern Ontario, Canada, near a city ironically called London, Ontario. Not as nice as the actual London, but I digress. Yeah, so in southwestern Ontario, but from there, like I would have loved to have also gone to St. Hill. I have been to St. Hill before. I spent some time there. So in December, actually, I spent a day, I should say, there in December 2005. So yeah, it would be nice. But for me, I think just being able to tell my stories, which I've done again for this past year, has been really, really great. The fact that I've been able to talk about it, and then meeting ex-members. So that's always a good, amazing thing, especially ex-members that I worked with and that I knew when I was in Berlin, because there is someone who I am in pretty much daily contact with. She's speaking out. Her name is Sabrina. We worked together all the way back in Berlin. So I only knew that she left Scientology within the past 5 years. And, she again has spoken out, I should say, television, radio, podcasts, and newspapers in Switzerland and Germany. So it's just nice to corroborate stories, get different perspectives. I remember, one thing happened, she remembered another thing happened. It was just great, and that really alleviates a lot of the mental stress, I think. But it never goes away completely, but it can definitely get better. I think with time and with some thought and with interaction with people. So that's how I've done it. I mean, really, nothing magic, but just little things that worked and a lot of trial and error.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. And it's I was listening to a bit of Vanessa's stream with now I can't think of his name, the homeless guy. And I only caught sort of like the beginning bit when I was having my dinner. And he was saying how like sort of kind of he's been watching things and finding out that Scientology is like one of the ones that sort of takes the longest to get out from because of the sort of mind games that they kind of play. So it's sort of you can really like tell sort of the people that have been out for longer than others. But I think it's sort of Daniel Mustard. Thank you very much, Witness. It is very commendable for anyone coming out and sort of, kind of talking about their stories. So, but it's sort of, it's that understanding that kind of you need to do sort of the work to kind of get past that, which I think is the real sort of test in a way. So I think you've done incredibly well, Mark. Well done. And thank you very much for sharing that.
It's an uphill battle for sure. Because again, like, I was young. I was 22 when I got in, 25, excuse me, when I left. I'm 40 now. So, I just figure that every year goes by. I'm very thankful. And you do get perspective as you age. And sometimes when you go through very difficult things, especially early on in life, you get more perspective than the average person. So that's kind of a gift, I think. Like that to me is probably the best silver lining positive that you can go through, you can have. I mean, it's not good that people go through horrible things, but at least if you come out of it, you get that perspective and the wisdom, and that's priceless. So, it can be difficult, but at least there's opportunities to share those experiences like there is now. And I'm very thankful for that. So, again, in the moment it might not be great, but reflecting on it years later, at least there's some positive in it, I think.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to head off now.
That's really important to take from anything. Oh, Joe, thank you very much for joining us.
Lovely to meet the two new people, and always nice to see.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Go and subscribe to Joe's channel if you haven't already. Let's keep that up for a bit. Sorry, what was I saying? I think that no, sorry, that's what I was thinking before I was saying. I think it's really interesting how obviously the people that have born into it, obviously there's people that have joined later, like Mark Fisher, who sort of stayed in it for longer. but I think, you know, it's sort of the contrast of kind of people that were born in and kind of spent like so much time in there versus kind of people like sort of you and Alex who've got in sort of around that kind of early 20s and you're still sort of finding yourself. That I know Alex was kind of sort of more kicked out. He said that sort of if that didn't happen, then he would have been in it sort of probably still to this day. But I do find it interesting that I think people sort of when you kind of join it at that age, you actually have a bit more pushback as such. I don't know exactly sort of how your ending was, Mark. I'm sure I've heard it, but I can't think of exactly how you sort of left. But, you know, sort of, do you think that's kind of part of why you were only in it for like a short amount of time because you were still, you kind of had that experience before going in?
Yeah. Yeah, it's much, I mean, again, please, you know, I don't want to generalize too much because there are people who are born into it, Chris Shelton, Aaron Smith-Levin,
No,
the Headleys, etc., who do leave. But it's definitely something where
but they were still
I
in it
think
for a
when you
long
get
time.
into
Sorry,
it,
that's what I
yeah,
meant.
exactly. They were in it for years and exactly. So it's quite rare for someone to come in even if they're 15 or 22 or 25 and stay in for 30 years. You know, the most groups like Scientology or other groups that are destructive like this, usually they last maybe 2 years because when you're young, especially in your, you know, late teens, early 20s, that's the type of stuff you're into. You get really invested in something and it's usually very idealistic or very radical, but it doesn't last very long, you know, and people get very active doing things, you know, radically when they're students, and then they get to the quote unquote real world, and it changes their perspectives and you know work world and stuff and all that kind of thing. So and relationships and things change people's perspectives. But for me, at least I could say is, yeah, you're right. I had, I guess, 22 years of different experiences, and it's very hard to relearn your entire life because Scientology, essentially, it's almost like there's this really ridiculous online kind of community of red-pilled people, like in the Matrix. If you take the red pill, you know, you're supposed to see what the world really is, but if you take the blue pill, you go back to reality or whatever. So it's like this red pilling thing, but that doesn't work either because it's not reality they're showing you. It's just a very small, you know, perspective, and there's more to life. And it's also very absolutist and very black and white and very cut and dry. And you know, as people um,
Mm.
as people get involved in these things, and you know, they start to see contradictions and whatever. But yeah, when you're raised in it, I mean, it's so much easier. Like, you know, if you were auditing by the time you were 7 or 8 years old, it's super easy to then go through the bridge and be a staff member because that's what you've known your whole life. But for someone like myself, like constantly, um, I was constantly fighting with my personal experiences, constantly in conflict with things that I had already known. And you accept it, right? Maybe ideologically, but not by experience, because you can't do that. Like it's really hard to unlearn 22 years of go. I was in public schools, you know, speaking of sewing, by the way, and stuff like that. My mom actually was what we would call a family studies or home economics teacher. So, you know, I had that
Ah.
skill. So I learned how to cook, I learned how to sew, I learned how to do all these kinds of things when I was small. It's very difficult because that's not Ron's way of doing it. So it's very hard to sort of
Mm.
retrain your brain. And ultimately, I think you're absolutely right. That's why it just doesn't work, because a part of you is still, you know, still there, like still in your old brain or whatever you want to say, where you still have those personal experiences. And every
Mm.
time Scientology tells you how to, you know, they tell you how to clean. They tell you how to do, like literally, they tell you how to do everything, like literally from cleaning to making a bed to, you know, um, your workspace and how to file. Like everything is so micromanaged that it just goes against people's life experience and other ways of doing things, and they're not tolerant to those things. Like they only accept Ron's way, they don't accept another way. So yeah, so it is difficult, and that's what, at least where the conflict comes in, where every day is just a struggle, especially being on staff, because you're just fighting with, okay, I know that there's another way of doing something, it works for me, or I think it's better, it's based on my personal experience. But then you have another voice that comes in that says, no, that's wrong, you've been doing it wrong your whole life, this is the way Ron did it, therefore, he's what we call source. So he's the source of all knowledge in the world. And
Mm.
so if you're going to clean something, it's got to be his way. It's Ron's way or the highway, which is a quote from Chris Shelton. It's Ron's way or the
Yeah.
highway. And so that really, I don't think that it's like that. That's the attitude where, that's why they don't get people to stay who are like me. Like I was so dedicated,
Mm.
but I couldn't do it, really fighting with myself too much, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very oh yeah, Witness just said retrain your brain. Yeah,
Can be
which
hard.
is very true. And it's sort of, yeah. And Joe just said a
Mhm.
factory reset. Yeah, I think it's yeah, sort of very interesting. I'm like super, since sort of like the pandemic, I've become so interested in sort of the brain and kind of how we sort of where our reactions come from and things like that. And I just think it's yeah, absolutely sort of fascinating, and kind of, yeah, so that sort of notion of kind of yeah, like you say, sort of kind of yeah, kind of things that like sort of LRH would you're sort of kind of fighting against his words and things like that, is yeah, is sort of very, very interesting that it doesn't work in the same kind of way.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Brian actually just
like that.
mentioned something earlier, about the Navy. So like the military, militaries have to break people down and build them up. And there's a percentage of people who can't do it either. Like that's all a part of it. I mean, I don't know what the UK army is like, but certainly in America, just because through popular media, and I'm sure it's very similar. It's very similar in the UK, where you go to this boot camp, and the whole point is to basically build people down to then build people up, and that can cause like a lot of trauma. Everyone is different, right? Like, so some people, they lose their minds. I know during the 60s, my father actually had a friend, although they were living in Canada, the US opened enlistment to Canadians, and then because the whole thing would they would get American citizenship. So my dad had a friend that went down to the US and went through boot camp, and just his mind just broke. Like it just, that happens to people. They can't handle it. They can't handle
Wow.
the pressure, the stress. So it's very similar in that case, where any system where you're breaking people down to build them up, there's a certain percentage that it just doesn't work for, which is totally okay. I think then you need resources and stuff to help those people. But at the same time, nothing is 100%. So in Scientology, it's very much like that. It's a regimented way of relearning, retraining, red pilling, whatever whatever, like just breaking people down. And I would say in Scientology, like next to nobody can actually be retrained like that. I mean, there's no way. There's just far too much knowledge right now, especially with social media, education, whatnot. Like, there's just far too much knowledge available, that maybe if it was in the 50s or 60s, where people were very educated, but still there was still kind of an isolation, because people were maybe more communal or whatnot, and they didn't have access to the internet, and they couldn't. I mean, most of us are in different countries, different locations right now. Have 30, 40 years ago, that was impossible. So maybe there was a possibility when Dianetics, was first being discovered or founded or written about or whatever you want to say. And then when L. Ron Hubbard died in '86, it was still like that. But right now in 2023, it's really impossible to keep people in because, again, there's just this idea of breaking people down. It just doesn't work. You have to accept people for who they are. You can't break them down and try to remold them into L. Ron Hubbard, who again wasn't really what, the L. Ron Hubbard that's presented by the Church of Scientology was not even a percentage point of what L. Ron Hubbard really was. So yeah, again, it's one of these things that just simply doesn't work.
No, exactly. Yeah, I get that. It's really,
Yeah, and there's really no
yeah, I
respect,
really
no
sort of,
respect for differences.
yeah, exactly. And that's what I've like never really got, like how people, so you like put him like on such sort of this pedestal when like I've heard so many podcasts from, my true crime and sort of paranormal ones that I listen to, and they talk about his like association with the occult and things like that, and sort of and all the sources where it all came from in the first place. It's sort of, so it's kind of all this thing of, oh, it's his words, and it's like, yeah, he just like took a bunch of other people's words and put them together.
Yeah,
But I think
definitely.
Sorry, Heather, go ahead.
no, it's okay. There were two things I was thinking about when you were talking about it all. One was the rebuilding and building up. But so in the UK, definitely when I was at school, and I think they still do it now, we have our cadets, like the cadets for every service, where the young people you can be an army cadet, which means you get the chance to play with things that you never see, you never get. Do you know what I mean? Like you get the chance.
Oh yeah.
And we had the I come from the southeast, so imagine the green bit. I think you've actually, because you've been to East Grinstead, you will have seen the green bit between the seaside and London, where there's fields and.
Yeah, I went to Brighton too, which I like.
Couple.
Yeah.
There's fields and sheep and pigs
sheep.
and not a lot else happening. So you tell a bunch of young lads that they can join, because that was what they were doing. They were saying to young lads, you can have a career, you can earn lots of. This was during the time of the economic crash. So even before that, they were telling young lads they can join these groups and they can run around with, weaponry, and they can pretend to be all sorts of fancy people. And they can pretend to, do all of these drills. It's hilarious when one of my friends who is now a drag queen tells me that that's what he thought, and he would never do it now. Not that you can't be a drag queen with the thing, but it's just imagining my friend, a drag queen who is 7 foot tall, like fully made up, and imagining him in navy uniform running around. It's just complete opposite. And you tell them that that's their choice, or they can go and join the young farmers. They will pick being a cadet, whatever you tell them. And then they would come into the schools and recruit these young men who weren't getting the grades to go to university, and tell them that they could join a force, get a career, earn a lot of money, and, be set for life. What they weren't telling these young men in 2008 was that they were going to go into, horrific. Sorry, that might be my opinions on war there. Sorry, I apologise. I will.
No. Very true.
But like
when I was leaving school in 2000, it was the same. Even before that, in like 97, when we were doing our work experience in year 9, it was you can go and do some work with the army, or hairdressers.
But that's what they were telling these young lads was, You're not
Yeah.
going to get into university. You can be a bricklayer in the rain or join the army and travel the world. Choice is
Yeah.
yours. And they'd go, travel the
Yeah.
world. And that's what we were
Oh.
telling our young men. And it was horrible to see, to be fair, because, yeah. And the other thing was those connections that you can see, Claire, some other people can't see them when they're looking at
Exactly.
it's us coming, those of us who do see those connections, who then talk to our friends for, like, they're like, so what have you been doing this week? And you're like, well, what was happening? What my PA's been off for 2 weeks, and he was like, so what have you been doing for the last 2 weeks? And I was like, so there's this new MLM, and what it does is it's selling electricity. And he's like, what? And then go on for 45 minutes about how it sells electricity and it's related to this one and this one and this one and this one and this one. He's like, how did you find all of that? And I'm like, I don't know, but I can tell you where I started. Or like, did you know
the rabbit hole?
Or did you know? He came into the room the other day. It was really weird. I realised how much of the TV he's watched because he was like, why is Mike Grinder on the TV talking about David Beckham? And I was like, because David Beckham fell out with Tom Cruise. And he's like, what? When were they trying to be friends? And I had to explain the whole thing that had been going on for 2 weeks. And he's like, what? He comes and gets summaries from me of like everything that's been happening. And I'm like, so you won't believe. And it's like some weird thing. But it is that thing of some people will find all of the connections and be like, why would anybody ever think that this is a thing that would work? Because don't they realise that this is connected to that? Like, why would you need blush with skincare benefits? It goes on top of everything else. It's got 3 layers to get through before it touches your skin. But nobody else thinks about it when they buy the blush. But if you know blush and you know skincare, you know that the hyaluronic acid they've just put in it won't do anything. Or that if collagen goes through your skin, then your skin is very weak and pointless. So you need to take it internally and not put it on your face. Do you see what I mean? Like, you only know those things if you're the person who researches them, not the other way around. Sorry, I get really like.
No, totally.
It's a logic also. So when young cadets and stuff, they are young and they most of the time, I guess. So as we grow older, we tend to get more knowledge and it's easier to connect the dots and I don't know.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
But some more than others, of course.
Yeah, it's
But,
sad that like sort of their parents aren't more aware of it, you know, because it's sort of, you shouldn't really, like, kids shouldn't be expected to understand these things and to look out for those things, but parents should, you know. And it always shocks me when there's sort of kind of parents that will sort of allow these things to keep going on.
I wonder if it's how many grown-ups with kids that is joining Scientology now with all the information. Or
You mean like parents with children that are like older?
like they did earlier, and because it wasn't so much they didn't have the knowledge about what's going on. But now,
Yeah.
when with all the talking and all,
Yeah.
if
Well, Scientology is a huge.
if the ones who are parents now with kids, it's the
Yeah.
second generations, and it keeps
Yeah.
going that way.
It's mostly in Scientology. It's mostly people that have been born in it. So, we always call them second gens. There's a lot of them, at least relatively. But like they have a huge recruitment problem just because it's not easy to get anyone into the Church of Scientology at all. Like this is why there's very few people, and all the orgs are dead and whatever. But there are, I mean, yeah, there are people whom are at least, sometimes we call first gen, second gen, third gen, fourth gen, but that's rare. Like to have someone, I knew someone, for example, when I worked when I worked in San Francisco. So his name is Lloyd Latch. He passed away a few years back, and he was a chiropractor from San Francisco. So okay, he joined in the 50s directly, when L. Ron Hubbard after Dianetics and whatever. So then of course he had kids. So they had kids. So that's like, that's like 3 generations, right? But that's super rare. And there's even people who've now had 4 generations, right? But that's very, very rare. I mean, there's a handful of 3 to 4 generations. There are quite a few second generations, and there's quite a few first generations. But again, they don't last. Like that's the thing. Most people leave anyway, and most people leave within the first generation. So there's only a handful of those 4th and 5th generations. They're usually what we might refer to as legacy families. Very American term, but essentially it just means like, they've been in it for a long time. If you're a legacy, it's kind of an American term for if you go to a university or a college in the United States, especially like a Harvard or a Yale, like some of the big ones, if your father went there, if your grandfather went there, if your great grandfather went there, you'll get in because you're what's called a legacy, right? You're a legacy candidate. It's the same with companies, so that's kind of the thing. But those legacies are like, again, a few far between, maybe at the most 20 families, and that's super, super charitable. There might in reality be less, 10. But yeah, and especially like, I don't know, like imagine a single mother getting into Scientology for all the right reasons. They might have a kid or 2 or 3 or whatever, and they're trying really hard, but at the end of the day, it'll just be too much time commitment and too much money when they could be doing those things with their kids. Because the courses and stuff that they're learning, it's not helping them, it's helping the church. So people usually wake up out of that too. Like that's rare too. Again, like people in need, not to mention as Heather's condition, people with disabilities. You don't see that in Scientology. They're not there for people with disabilities. They're really not there for people who don't have a lot of money, don't have a lot of status or access to money. They're not there for, again, they're not there for the homeless. They're not there for, anyone that might have a severe, mental health condition. They're not there for anyone with maybe an intellectual disability or etc. So it's not charitable. It's all very selfish, and they're there to quote unquote make the able more able. So if they declare you unable, disabled, not able, whatever other term, then they're not there for you. They just kick you to the curb. And so, like again, going back to the scenario of a single mother, that would just be too much of an impediment. They would be wanting to spend money on their children and not on the church. And of course, they should be. In reality, they should be, right? And they should be focusing all their attention on their children. Or a single father. I shouldn't, single parent in general, put it that way. Maybe I'll be more broad, but a single parent. But they wouldn't want that. So it's a really horrific thing. They're just not there to help, really. They're
Are
there
you
to take
out
your
of
money, and that's it.
you're out of condition? I'm already out of I want to say out of condition, but that's not the right word, is it? I don't meet one of the prongs of whatever their fake cross meets in terms of, because I'm a disabled person, I don't meet one, like I'm already I don't meet. I'm sorry, there is no way that you're going to, even as a, I'm not going to be able to be made more making the able more able. I'm sorry. The moment I was born, that was out of the window. That's not to say that like as a disabled person, I'm here to make sure that more disabled people are given opportunity, and we crash not here in this thing, but my role in life is to highlight the barriers that we face as disabled people.
Of course.
Yeah.
So under the social model,
Exactly. Like the first time I heard that, like, I was just going to say the first time I heard about that sort of make the able more able, I was just like, sorry, like, and the rest of society, you know, sort of.
I'll just go and sit
The able
quietly
is
and do
probably like a
nothing.
very small proportion. Yeah.
We say SOL, shit out of luck, you know. So if you're not there, I mean, it's too bad. But again, if you think of, you know, whatever religious organization you do or don't belong to, whatever, in the end, you know, churches, whether it's the Church of England or, you know, Church of Norway or whatever, at the end, they're going to provide food to people. They're going to, you know, probably do something with clothing. In where I come from in Toronto, churches, synagogues, mosques, temples, all religious organizations will have a program called Out of the Cold, because again, we mentioned, you know, in winter, it's
Same here,
very
yeah.
cold outside. And so religious organizations open their doors as shelters. And it's not, they don't preach any religion. They just give them a hot meal, you know. That's not what Scientology does. That's not what they're there for. There's no, what we might call social
No.
justice work. They don't do that stuff. They don't want to have anything to do with people that are homeless, you know, intellectually disabled, mentally ill, to say, you know, I don't know the words. Forgive me if I'm saying anything wrong as far as terms, but anything that would be that condition where you are not quote unquote able, they just don't want anything to do with them, and or any at all. So you'll never see, for example, Scientology like a mission. They have these volunteer ministers, but it's basically all PR. But you never see them giving food to people that are hungry. You never see them clothing people who don't have that. Like you just don't see that. That's what you get from Christian churches and so forth, and synagogues and mosques and temples or whatever in certain places. But you will never see that kind of work. They don't build homes, you know, for the homeless people. They don't do volunteer work for things like Habitat for Humanity or whatever other affiliated organization. And it's because the church, like everything in Scientology, goes back to Scientology. So, you know, they think it's a charity. They do think that they're helping people through some of their, you know, what we might call front groups, you know, which are abundant. But really, in the end, it's all of that has a very cynical and deceptive practice to get people into Scientology by introducing them to some kind of program or method that is Scientology to get them in. So it's almost like, I don't know, if you went to a homeless shelter and they don't give you anything, but they just give you a Bible. It's like, well, that doesn't do anything. And they're preaching to you. It's like, well, you know, can I have a place to sleep? No. Can I have some food? No. Here's just our text. You know, come. You know what I mean? Like, oh, and it costs money, by the way, and that would be so reprehensible that people would riot because, you know, why not, right? Like that would be awful. But that's really what they do in Scientology, and it's just it's absolutely absurd. It's horrific, you know.
It's like, oh, you were hungry. Oh, here's the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pull yourselves up by the bootstraps, which is what we keep being told here in England.
Yeah.
But anyway, to ease your concern, Mark, there is a divide between particularly Europe, the UK generally, and America and Canada. North America and Canada in terms of the language we use. So in North America and Canada, they use people first language. So it would be
Right.
so you'd say person with mental illness, person with a particular type of condition, or person with mobility difficulties, or that's the way it's phrased. In the UK, we tend more towards disabled people, so it's social model language. So that's more what I would say. So I use more language that's impairment related and barrier related, and so that's where the difference comes in. So I wasn't. It's not me saying that you've said anything wrong. It's just more of a like the way I talk is different. To no, you haven't. It's just obviously we have an international audience, so I wanted to clarify that for people. I don't know how so that people can pick know the differences. You'll also spot the difference between people who are in the internet. Yes, exactly. Who are in the internet, who are in the intellectual disability community, so learning disabilities and stuff. They quite often use people first language too. So they will quite often say that somebody with Down syndrome or something like that. That's what they will say, rather than the language I would use, which is I am an electric wheelchair user, rather than a person with an. I can't even do the mind gymnastics to change it. But do you see what I mean about the differences in the way that we speak? And it's just the way the communities have developed means that the languages have changed, because they were just naturally. It was disabled people saying, we don't want to be isolated. We want this to change. Like, we exist. Can we have education? Can we learn to, can I have my own house? Like, can we, see other people?
Exactly.
So, I just wanted to, because you seemed concerned about it, be like, no,
I
you're
appreciate
fine.
it very much.
You're Canadian, and I'm not. So,
but
we forgive
and that's
you.
a good point, because and it is a good point, because like in Scientology, again, it's one of those things where people have a very old way of looking at it. Like I really like Aaron Smith Levin and his channel, but sometimes he was born and raised in Scientology, so even he's trying to learn some of these phrases and these new words, because Hubbard had such, first of all, not just the 1950s and 60s way, but also a very horrible way of looking at things, like not just terms that are out of date, but perceptions and stereotypes, and you know what I mean, that are so horribly out of date that even for the time they were offensive, especially to the people in those communities. So, that's another thing that is really difficult, because that's part of the building up process. You know what I mean? Like that's the type of thing where it's just the language that is used within the Scientology circles and culture is so horrific. I mean, it is absolutely ruthless, and it's disgusting. So, it's one of these things where, it takes some time and whatnot, but I do appreciate it, because now that you say it, we do put people with XYZ as opposed to the other way around, which is just, I guess, a different perspective from the different forms of English that we speak. I mean, we all speak English, but Canadian English, American English, British English, Australian English, it's a whole different kettle of fish.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate it very much.
No, that's okay.
Exactly.
Can I just pop in and say hi?
Hi.
Oh, hi, Brandy. Sorry.
Hey,
I've
Brandy.
been chatting up a storm here. Sorry.
How are you on this wonderful Monday evening?
Good. Getting better.
Oh, I think you've got a stream on, by the way. If you close down a tab.
If I got what?
We have an echo, so I think you have an extra tab open with our stream.
You watching it on YouTube?
No, maybe it's just too loud. There, is that better?
It's still echoing.
Oh. No, it's still echoing.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me see. I'm gonna try it.
I don't know where it's coming in from.
Is that any better?
But it's better because I was hearing myself before, so I'm not hearing myself now.
That's
oh,
better.
far better.
Okay, because it was trying to pick up my audio
Yeah, fabulous.
between this
Sorry,
and my
start
new
again.
one. And so,
Oh.
yeah, it was trying to do audio in both places.
No problem. But yeah, good.
How's
Start
everybody
again.
doing?
Welcome, Brandy.
Oh, thank you.
Good, thank
Um,
you.
I was just saying that I was doing better. My recovery is doing a lot better since my surgery.
Oh, amazing. That's so good to hear.
Yes.
Yay.
And I don't know if everybody's seen, but I'm also doing a fundraiser for my friend, Michelle, on Facebook.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Have you
Claire,
put it in the craft group?
No, I emailed you the link.
Right. Let me. Let me check that. Oops.
Yeah. My friend Michelle, she's my moderator, and she's just needing a little help right now. So I'm doing a fundraiser for her because she's financially in a tight situation, and so I started a GoFundMe for her, trying to help her out.
Oh, that's so nice. Wonderful. Oops. Yeah, we were talking about people doing things for others in a sort of selfless way. So anything to help others is always nice. Let me get that added
I'm
on.
trying to help her to where she doesn't lose her permit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because we back
Right, there it is. Oops.
probably about 6 months ago or so now, we both were working for a company called Found Ever. And I was actually the team lead, and she was just under me as T2 supervisor. And the campaign we were on was ending. And they kept telling us, well, just hold on. We'll find you another home. We'll find you another home. We'll find you another home. And they were trying to find all the other agents a home first before they found the T2 and the team leads a home. They never did. And we went, I went about a month without work. They put us on a leave of absence without pay. And finally, I started looking elsewhere, and I got another job. And I told them, I was like, I can't do it. I don't know about everybody else, but I can't just go on a leave of absence without pay. I mean, especially without an end date. No end in sight. And I finally got another position at another company being an agent. I mean, it sucks working my way up all the way up to team lead, and then I have to go all the way back down to an agent. But at least I have a position, I have a job to where they strung me along. I even signed a contract to be a team lead. And right after I signed that contract, it was nothing. And she was in the same boat. And she was not even able to find another position anywhere.
That's just
So-
awful.
Yeah, with her not being able to find work, on top of she had a stroke a couple of years ago, so her left side is kind of hard to move. So she's working on trying to get on Social Security disability.
Nice. Well, I hope, yeah, she can sort of sort that out, because that's really harsh.
I was just gonna say it's about 2 hours ahead.
No, go ahead,
of
Mark.
you guys from me. So yeah, so I'm gonna have to leave the chat if that's okay. I'm just getting a little tired because it's almost midnight.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, and
No,
yeah, it's
no.
really nice to meet everybody. And
Yeah.
let's do it again. I'd like to come on again.
Yeah, definitely. You too. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
thank you.
I was planning to wrap up about soon. So, Brandy, you're coming at the end, but yeah, see
No
you
worries then.
next time, Mark. I will send the links to everyone again, and then sort of obviously
Sure.
whoever joins. But have a
Perfect.
wonderful week
Well,
until
thank
then.
you. Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much, everybody. Thank you.
See you
Have a great night.
later. That's all right. Thank
Bye.
you. Oh, bless.
I'm going to say
Fabulous. Well, yeah, I don't know how everyone else is feeling, but yeah, I'm feeling quite tired myself. And Chad has been on his stream, so obviously anyone that wants to jump over to that, then do. But yeah, I think we might wrap it up if that's all right. Sorry, Brandy, you've come in after we've had quite an intense chat. But thank you very much for coming in and obviously sharing that about your friend. I put it in the chat so everyone can see it in there. And yeah, thank you all for joining tonight. I hope it was good for everyone else.
It was fun. Yeah.
Ah, good.
see you again soon. Bye, everyone.
Yes, definitely. See you later.
Yeah.
Brandy, also, I don't know if you want to say anything about your channel, just quickly before you go.
My channel is Christ Anxiety, all one word, and it is just a safe place to go and talk about anything anxiety related, from religion to Scientology to groups to even relationship that you may be in. Just a good safe place just to come and vent. I mean, just sometimes some people need just that safe, spot to come and be like, okay, this is what's going on. And that's what my channel is for.
Wonderful. Cool. Fabulous. Well, I'm going to put everyone's links in the sort of bio of this video as well. So then they're sort of clickable for people, because I don't know if the live chat actually stays up on my videos or not, but I know that sometimes I go to other people's and it just isn't always there. So I'll make sure that that's all in there. But yeah, so thank you for the people still watching. Thank you for both of you for joining us tonight. And yeah, I will see you next week if you're if you want to come back. If I haven't scared you off.
I might.
Definitely.
I have to redo the background.
Yeah. It's all right. It could be you could do like a theme every week.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
Thank y'all. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Yes, you too.
Okay.
See you both later.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. You have to stop. I don't know how.
Oh, I'm going to kick you out. Not in a rude way. There we go. Fabulous. Right. Because I just wanted to finish up, but I didn't want everyone to have to sit through me reading. I found the bit in the book. Oh, no, I did. Where did it just go? That I wanted to. Oh, here we go. That I wanted to read from Brittany's book. That really got to me. So it's from chapter, let me see. Where are we? For anyone that has the book and wants to read it, 43, page 240, and it is Brittany talking about when she was put away in a facility by her father, of all the people, and in fact her whole family, because the whole family sort of kind of got her in a position that then the police and things would be able to take her away, basically. And she says that while she's in there, a nurse is showing her clips of the protests that were happening at the time. And she says, fans saying they were trying to figure out if I was being held somewhere against my will, talking about how much my music meant to them and how they hated to think I was suffering now. They wanted to help. And just by doing that, they did. All the things the nurse was seeing, everyone at the hospital was seeing too. The doctor eventually noticed that people around the world were asking why I was still locked up. It was all over the news. The same way I believe that I can sense how someone's feeling in Nebraska, I think my connection to my fans helped them subconsciously know that I was in danger. We have a connection, no matter where we are in space, even if you're on the other side of the country or the world, on some level we're bound up together. Fans of mine, even though I hadn't said anything online or in the press about being confined, they just seemed to know. Seeing them marching in the streets, chanting Free Britney, that was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen in my life. I know some people laughed at it. They saw the pink t-shirts with my name on it, with my name on them, and said, "What kind of cause is this?" But if they really knew what was going on, what was going through, and understood the connection I have with my fans, I don't think they would have laughed. The truth is, I was being held against my will, and I did long to know that people might care, whether I lived or died. What we do have, except our connections to what do we have? Except our connections to one another. And what stronger bond is there than music? Everyone that spoke out for me helped me survive that hard year, and the work they did helped me win my freedom. I don't think people knew how much the Free Britney movement meant to me, especially in the beginning. Toward the end, when the court hearings were going on, seeing people advocating for me meant a whole lot. But when it first happened, that got my heart, because I was not okay, not at all. And the fact that my friends and my fans sensed that something was happening. Sensed what was happening. Sorry, I have a bit of flipping of words when I'm reading. And my fans sensed what was happening and did all that for me. That's a debt I can never repay. If you stood up for me when I couldn't stand up for myself, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And I would just like to say, anyone in any kind of high control group, we're here for you. In whichever way we can help, we will. Yeah, thank you very much for watching tonight's stream, and I will see you next week. Bye. Oops. Oh, and as a as a last ending thing, I will just put up this. So if you would like to pay a sewing class forward, please buy me a coffee, or you can personally buy me a tea, which would be very nice in these cold days that we're going to be getting. You can also fund me getting the next level up on my StreamYard, so then I can put my own little logo up there. And yeah, and that would just be really lovely. Thank you very much. If you like everything that's going on here, please like and subscribe to everyone that's being on the show tonight. And yeah, thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next one. Oh, I always forget about that one.